Hi, I'm Heather Langton, owner of On Point Business Coaching,
And I'm Saul Palma with Ambitious Goal Getters.
and we're here to share with you our tips and tricks on how to attract and retain qualified employees. I'm going to start a PowerPoint so that you can follow along with us. About us. I'm Heather Langton. I own On Point Business Coaching, as I said. In the past, I've owned and run multiple companies. I currently own and run multiple companies. In the past, I worked with, I owned a general contracting company, worked there for 15 years, and I ended up reaching $1 million in revenue by the end. In 2008 through 2012, we increased our revenue by 700%. During that time, thank you. During that time, we hired and fired many people. So I am here to share with you what I have learned.
Well, thank you. And my name is Saul Palma with Ambitious Goal Getters. I'm a business coach and financial strategist. I have over 3 decades in corporate America with 2 Fortune 500 companies, some electrical engineering. I have also done some retail management. I've interviewed hundreds of potential employees, hired, I would say half of those, trained a good majority of those, promoted only my A team. And unfortunately, I did have to terminate some. And so, like Heather was saying, some of our
experience.
We
bring our experience.
Our experience. That's a good way to put it. Our experience and share that with you, the do's and don't do's.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Before we go into what we're going to cover today, I just want to let you know this is an overview of the upcoming workshops that we have that are also titled Attract and Retain Qualified Employees. We have a part 1 and a part 2. Each of those sessions will be 2 hours long. They'll each provide more in-depth information on what we're providing today with more technical details, more real-life experience. You'll also have interaction with other attendees, which is a very big benefit, other business owners, other HR managers, other people that are joining us for part 1 and part 2. You're going to experience mock interviews, and you'll be invited to be a part of that. And also you can get specific suggestions based on what's going on in your situation. So that's something that we will do at part 1 and part 2. Again, each of them is 2 hours long. They'll be on June 2nd and June 21st from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay, so you can expect to walk away with the following actionable steps. By the time you're done with us today, you will understand the unique hiring issues many companies are facing right now and how to combat them. You will learn how to catch the attention of truly qualified applicants, and you'll learn how to weed out deadbeat candidates with 3 simple questions.
And we'll also be sharing how to learn some key questions or show you some key questions you can ask during your interview that let you know if a candidate is qualified. To help you find your superstars, how to get them to so that you earn their loyalty, and then as a bonus, you learn about some exclusive tax incentives by hiring and retaining certain types of employees. So we'll share that information with you as well.
Absolutely. Okay, what is the current hiring situation out there? You guys probably know it just as well as we do. People are saying right now, no one wants to work. We had COVID, we had a bunch of incentives for people who weren't working, and now I hear a lot of complaining from a lot of companies that they can't find qualified people to even interview. Well, what I can tell you is that I have seen people job searching on a daily basis, in person, on social media, talking to friends, getting messages, all kinds of stuff. So I know that there are people out there for us to hire. So really, it's not a question of if people are working or not. It's a question of how do you attract the people that you want to work with you. Right now, also, a lot of people are trying out being self-employed because of COVID. That may or may not last, but it doesn't mean that there aren't enough people out there to employ.
That's right. And also, one thing that is paramount to employee satisfaction is besides pay and benefits, which obviously are probably at the very top of the list, but it's culture. Can these employees work with you, these individuals? Can you work with them? Can you tolerate each other to the point where you're actually a functioning team? Why would somebody want to work with you? I mean, ask yourself that honestly.
Attracting potential employees. So first thing you need to do is know who you're looking for. You need to sit down and think about who the person is that you want to fill this position, what their personality is like, what their skills might be, what you want. Then you need to create a clear, thorough job description, which includes the following. It should include pay and benefits on the listing. It should include whether you pay mileage and what the rate is, whether you require drug testing, any other requirements for the job like licensing or anything like that.
And also, to stay on the same topic, it really lays on your shoulders. So what makes you stand out? Why does somebody want to work with you? So especially, what makes you special? What makes you unique? What's appealing about you or your company? Wages, is there any drama going on in there? All of these type of things obviously play into it. And what's their perception of your company and you by the way that you act, by the way that you talk to them? Are you cordial? Are you friendly? So they're going to be judging you as well. Let's see, how do you go about building your dream team again? So we'll go through that. I can't stress enough how important that is, and you look at it in that fashion. So, Heather, I think it's up to you.
Okay. Qualified potential employees. So now you've gotten some resumes. How do you know whether these people are qualified or not? First of all, you're going to get all these resumes in. Hopefully you get a bunch of them. When you get a bunch of resumes, what do you do with them? Because it gets overwhelming. What I suggest is you take no more than 60 seconds to look at each of the resumes and find basic information to determine whether that is somebody that you would or would not even want to interview. You'll find that a lot of resumes will tell you that that person is not the right fit from the beginning. And so you can get rid of those resumes and then focus on what you've weeded out and take a look at what's left and look at those people and see if they have the high quality skills. You can take more time to focus on those particular resumes then. To cover letter or to not cover letter, that has become something that is not a requirement. It's more of a request or a preference by the company. So if you would like to require a cover letter, go for it. You don't necessarily need to. However, if you do require a cover letter, I would suggest that you think twice about hiring somebody that does not provide one, simply because they're not following your direction. The interviewing process. So that's what comes next. I would suggest first you do a phone mini interview and find out whether that person is even somebody you can jive with. You'll tell a lot by talking to somebody on the phone for 10, 15 minutes. After that, you can determine if you want to bring them in for an in-person interview. You should let them know how long it will take so that they know what to expect. You also might want to do a hands-on interview depending on the type of position. If it's something that you want to verify that they have a specific skill, whether it be hands-on or not, maybe it's a computer skill, something like that, you can do a hands-on portion to the interview and ask them to do something and share with you what they know.
I love it. And to add a little bit more on the phone interview, listen, if one thing that I learned, if I called and somebody wasn't there to answer the phone, listen to their message. See how they talk. Are they being vulgar? Are they saying things that, so it gives you an idea of what type of person this is. So anyway, and then, so now let's consider the job requirements. And so what does that take? Are there any special licenses or certifications? How about drug testing? Is that something that you're going to require for safety, or what's your reason? Make sure you really investigate that. And again, do your homework. Using a personality profile type of test, such as a DISC. For example, Heather, on her site, you can go on her site, and for only $79, she offers a full report. She'll also spend time with you deciphering it and telling you all the highlights, the low points, things that you need to work on. And if you want to go to a free site that it's just a snapshot, you can do that by going to www.dispersonalitytest.com. But remember, that's only a snapshot, so you're not going to get the detail that Heather's going to give you. And one last thing, make sure that you save that, because once you get off that page, you've lost it. You'll have to take it over again. I don't know. Do they let you do it twice?
Yes.
Okay.
You can take it again. It just, you've spent that time and you don't have the results then. So definitely be sure to save it. You can usually do a print as a PDF and save it on your desktop even. So
interviewing tips. So what's the objective? What's the objective of the interview? Why do you even have them? Think about that. What is it that you want to get out of that? Find out that diamond in the rough. So what does that entail? Who is that diamond in the rough? Who's going to be your superstar? How would you do that? Do you have a plan? Do you have certain specific things that you're looking for that they have to meet? But probably one of the most important things is that you really need to listen to them. Give them an opportunity to answer. Don't shy away or be afraid of quiet times, the silence. Give them an opportunity. Again, they're thinking. They may not be able to think as fast, especially going in an interview. They're going to be nervous. So that's another thing. Put them at ease. Put them at ease at the very beginning, so they know, okay, we're just having a conversation here, that they're on their best behavior. So watch for anything. Maybe throw them a curveball question or something to kind of get them to really think about something. And we'll teach you or give you a few questions that you can ask, so that it kind of
so it gives you more depth information about.
Yeah.
In part one, we're going to go over interviewing questions specifically of this, the part one of our next workshop. And we'll have a lot of detailed questions that you can ask. And those curveballs, like Saul is saying, those curveballs can be really good because they make somebody think about a topic in more depth and in a different way than they normally would. And so it gives you insight into their thinking for sure.
Yeah, they go in thinking, just answer the questions as briefly as possible. But if you throw them a little curveball, they're going to have to elaborate a little bit more and give you a little bit of a perception of what they're like and what their thinking is like.
Exactly.
Another thing is have a second interviewer in there, so that you get a second perspective, another opinion of this interviewee, and it'll save you. I can't tell you how many times I would say, yeah, let's hire this guy, and somebody that I had in there with me, would point something out that, I missed that. So anyway, those are important things. Allow plenty of time. Make sure you schedule during the slow part of the day, off periods, where you're not real busy, but give them the time that they really deserve, so that they can really perform for you and give you a good overview of who they are. Are they dressed appropriately? Are you dressed appropriately? Are you friendly? Are they friendly? So those type of things.
Absolutely. Okay, interviewing no-nos. What not to ask during an interview. First thing is, don't ask leading questions. Don't ask questions that give the answer within the question of what you're looking for as an answer. So for example, don't say things like, I bet you're good at team building if you did this at such and such place, right? Because you're telling them you want them to say yes. And of course, no inappropriate or illegal questions. All of the things listed on here are things that you cannot talk about during an interview. One of the things that I really like to point out is parental status. You can't even talk about that if you're the one bringing it up. You can't talk about somebody's parental status even. So those are no-nos.
Let's talk about finding the best candidate for you. We'll go over 3 ways to find your best candidate, laying out expectations, asking open-ended questions and what those are, quality interviewing process. So what does that entail? What kind of benefits are you offering? Evaluate if they're a good fit for you, culture-wise, position-wise, personality, characteristics. All of those things play into whether you're going to be doing this in a couple months again. So, and that kind of plays into the retaining part. And that is another portion of our workshops that we're going to be discussing with you and sharing our information.
Absolutely. Okay, so you've qualified these potential employees and you've decided who you want to hire. First thing I want to let you know is you need to be aware of any payroll credits and tax incentives that are out there for hiring people. We'll get into more details on that, not only a little bit later during this presentation, but we'll get into some very good detail on it in part 1 and part 2. The other thing that's important to remember is HR documents. You need to be in compliance. It's not for the employee, it's for you as the business owner. It protects you. So make sure that you're getting the right paperwork filled out when you hire somebody. Make sure you're filing that paperwork in the correct way. Make sure it's being filled out correctly. There are a lot of fines out there for even just putting the wrong information in the wrong place.
That is so true.
That's very true. Another thing is use positional contracts when you're hiring. This helps you to understand what you're getting from the employee and help the employee understand what's expected of them. Here's an example of a positional contract. It's for a social media project manager. It's got desired characteristics of personality and abilities. It's got a list of the responsibilities that come along with that particular position, as well as the expected outcomes so that the employee knows this is what's expected of them. And then you sign it and the person who you're hiring signs it, and it gives you a better understanding of what they can expect from you and what you can expect from them. If you would like a copy of this positional contract sample, feel free to put a comment and we'll send it to you. Just comment with your email address and that you'd like a positional contract sample, and we'll send this to you by email. So now you've attracted people to come to your company and apply. You've figured out whether they're good for your company or not. You figured out whether they have the skill that they need for this position. You've hired them. Now, how do you keep them? That's a very big issue that needs to be addressed in most companies. You have turnover, which costs money.
So why would you want to retain qualified employees? Obviously, like I said just a little bit ago, you don't want to go through this every couple months, right? So you want to find qualified employees that you're going to be happy with. They're going to be happy with you, that you can count on. So you're watching each other's back. You're a team, right? So employees are an investment in time, money, and knowledge, because they're bringing in their knowledge, even if it's somebody that's brand new, right off the street, maybe first job, whatever. But as you train them, they're gonna learn stuff. And if you have to terminate or they leave for whatever reason, then there you go again. You need to start all over again. So turnover is also extremely expensive. Downtime is a loss in production, so loss of revenue, because the replacement, the new employee, is not going to be up to the same speed as a person that just left. In most cases, training takes time and money. And so what does that entail? So think about all of these things and how expensive having to go out and rehire somebody or rehire a new employee or hire a new employee. It's cheaper to retain than to retain an existing employee than to go out and hire. If you had to offer a severance package, obviously that's expensive because you're paying for somebody even though they're not there being productive. One bad apple, one good apple. Look at it as a good apple. So one good apple in there can definitely maybe even turn your whole operation around by their positive attitude and how they work with other employees and the camaraderie that gets built up around that. Reducing turnover starts with better hiring strategies. And so that's kind of the stuff that we're going to be helping you with. Increasing employee retention. If you increase employee retention by just 5%, you're going to increase your revenue by as much as 90%. So it just kind of depends on the business, obviously, but you could increase your revenue just by retaining more of your employees and keeping them around. Also, employees are the face of the company. So people like familiarity, being called by their name. So if you have somebody that's there consistently as the face of the company, as they walk in the store or the business or answering the phone or whatever it may be, when you call somebody by their name, it's like, oh, it's recognition. And so as humans, we thrive on that. We look for that. So again, so those are just some key pointers there.
Absolutely. So let me state this, and we both feel this way. You should not retain every single employee that you ever hire. You should retain qualified employees. And remember, being qualified is more than just what their skill set is. It's, do they fit in with your culture? Do they have the right personality? Do they deal with your customers well? There's a lot to think about, but you should not retain every employee. However, if you do decide to retain employees, there are tax incentives for that as well. And we'll cover that again more in about 2 minutes, as well as we will cover it in more depth in our Attract and Retain Qualified Employees Part 1 and Part 2 workshops coming up. Using personality profiles, you can see what makes employees motivated, what they value. We'll be going into those personality profile examples by giving a mini course on the DISC in both Part 1 and Part 2. And then why should an employee be loyal to your company? That's something you need to think about as well if you want to retain your qualified employees. What is there about your company that people want to be loyal for?
Remember, loyalty is earned. So it's not just because you're the boss, you get it. It's, you have to be a good boss to be able to earn that type of respect.
Absolutely. And this is one example of the different levels of loyalty. You can have different levels with different people. You can also have different levels with the same person depending on the situation you're in. So the very first level of loyalty is position. Basically, basically you're following the company and working for the company because you are getting paid. If you don't work, you don't get paid. So that's the first level of loyalty. The second level of loyalty is related to permission. It's related to relationships. People follow you because they want to, not because they have to, but because they want to. Then comes production and results. That's level 3. People follow you because of what you've done for the organization. Then number 4 is people development, reproduction. So reproducing yourself, basically. What have you done for other people? That's why they will follow you. And then the pinnacle, which is respect, number 5, people follow you because of who you are and what you represent to them and to the community. Okay, so the DISC will help you see what motivates employees, what makes them feel appreciated, and what makes them feel adequately compensated. And that's a really important concept there, which doesn't just deal with money. So compensation can be time off, it can be paid time off, it can be flexibility, it can be daycare, it can be healthcare, it can be a membership to a gym. There are all different kinds of things that you can offer to an employee to help them, perks exactly, to help them feel adequately compensated. And the reality is they may not all feel that they want the same thing in compensation. One employee may like to have a flexible schedule, whereas another employee may value the pay more. You should also be comparing pay rates, not only in your area, but around the United States. You want to remain competitive so that you keep people there. Delegate, don't abdicate. So when you give somebody a task to do, make sure that you're delegating it, that you're giving them all the information they need, that you're making sure that they have the resources they need, and that you're checking back in with them to see what kind of results they're going to get. Abdicating is not a good thing. Abdicating is when you give somebody a task, you don't follow up, you don't verify that they have what they need, and you just expect them to come back to you when they're finished, and you own no responsibility in the outcome. So make sure and delegate, don't abdicate. Very important. The other thing is empower people. What do people need to do their jobs? Do they need a different computer program? Do they need a better chair because their back is hurting every time they sit down? What do they need? What can you give to your employee, provide to your employee that empowers them and allows them to do their job in a better way than they can now? That's important as well. And then having stay interviews and exit interviews. So stay interviews are different than reviews, than a performance review, I should say. But it's just sitting down with somebody and saying, what is it that you like about working here? What would you like to see change? What do you like to see continue? And what would make you want to stay? And then, of course, exit interviews. Certain people will be more honest with you as they're leaving than they would be while they're working there. So you may get more information through exit interviews than you even do through stay interviews. So those are always a good idea to administer as well.
You want to know why they left so you don't repeat the same problem, over again.
Yes.
Maybe it's the individual. Maybe he didn't fit in with your culture.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's something to take into the next interview so that you avoid these type of issues. Some more stuff that we can help you with and advise you on is giving regular positive feedback so that the employee knows that they're doing a good job. Give them a pat on the back. Everybody likes recognition, right? Especially positive. So that goes a long ways in developing that loyalty that we talked about earlier. Do yearly performance reviews at a minimum. They need to know where they can improve. How can they help you get to, how can they help you meet your goals that you have set out, which is the next thing. Set up goals for your company and share them. Give them an opportunity to buy into that and to help you so they know what the end result is supposed to be. Tracking sales numbers or tracking some, where the company is and they can see some progress. It's going to take that another step forward because now you're including them in part of the company's success or failure. So regular give and take type of sessions, sit down with somebody one-on-one and just, hey, how's it going? What do you see? What can I help you with? That sort of thing. Maintain professional boundaries though, versus friendly. That can get you into trouble. So you really need to continue to be the boss. Okay. It's really hard to discipline a friend, but it's even more difficult to have to fire a friend. So you want to avoid those type of relationships. Keep it professional. It doesn't mean that you can't be friendly. It doesn't mean any of that type of stuff, but you just need to make sure that you're, your boundaries and how far you can go without creating bigger problems for yourself.
Okay, the part that we've been promising that you've been waiting for, I'm sure. Tax credits. Being aware of tax credits can make a huge difference in your bottom line. There are several tax credits for hiring people. There are several tax credits for retaining people. These are two of them there. The work opportunity tax credit is for hiring individuals that are from a certain targeted group that have had trouble in the past being hired. One example of that might be veterans. Veterans are in the group of the work opportunity tax credit. Or I should say they're eligible for it. The employee retention credit is the second one. It's a refundable tax credit that you can claim against certain employment taxes. And I believe that one is for W-2 employees. Either way, you probably need to know what tax incentives are out there. It's a pretty important thing to take advantage of. And if you're not sure where those tax incentives are to be found, well, don't worry, we have an expert for you. If you want to look at having somebody come in and help you who knows what those tax incentives would be and who will take an overall look at your company and determine whether there's more savings for you, feel free to contact Aaron Groziak at Stride. He is a great person to contact. He's got lots of knowledge. We highly recommend him. His number is down there, 719-460-0596. And also, if you have any questions about the tax incentives, he's going to be the person to contact. He's got great knowledge.
Okay. And so, as I mentioned before, my company is Ambitious Goal Getters. Excuse me. I'm a business coach. I help and specialize in process improvements and business strategies, including business processes, employee satisfaction, and retention. My phone number is 719-332-8578. And my email address is saul@ambitiousgoalgetters.com. Remember that progress is addicting. So let's get you addicted.
And I'm Heather Langton, owner of On Point Business Coaching. Let me know how I can help you. I specialize in standard operating procedures, profit improvement strategies, and employee satisfaction and retention. You can call or text me at 719-440-5836. And I can be reached at email at heather@onpoint.coach. One last time, Saul, I'm going to share with these people what kind of benefits you'll have.
Expect to see you there.
Exactly. We expect to see you at part 1 and part 2. If you liked this presentation, this mini course on how you can attract and hire qualified employees, attract, hire, and retain qualified employees, then you'll love our part 1 and part 2, where we break it all down and get into depth. So we're going to go over how to attract the attention of truly qualified applicants. We'll go over more details, give you some examples, and even give you some job posting information. You'll experience mock interviews and learn foolproof interviewing strategies. We will do an in-depth mini training on the DISC personality profile so you can use it when qualifying and hiring potential employees. In part 2, which is another 2-hour portion, we're going to go into detailed information about the tax incentives. You can get up to $9,200 per person back. We're going to talk about how to keep employees loyal and happy. And we're also going to do another in-depth mini training session on the DISC personality profile and show you how you can use that with retaining employees. The part 1 is on June 2nd. Part 2 is on June 21st. They're both 2 hours long, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can register at onpoint.coach/events. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.